This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Good afternoon, my Real News Media TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update for September 3, 2023. And in the news this afternoon, St. Andrew man found dead at home. Detectives assigned to the Halfway Tree Police are seeking the public's assistance to locate the relatives of a man who was found dead at his home along Norwich Avenue in St. Andrew. The body has been identified as a 53-year-old Stanford Campbell. He is of dark complexion, slim build, and about 5 feet 8 inches long. He has a low-cut hairstyle and was clad in a gray shorts and a gray and a white shirt. Reports from the Halfway Tree Police are that a neighbor summoned the cops to the home of Campbell. On the arrival of the lawmen, he was seen motionless. The scene was processed and the body was removed to the morgue. Relatives or anyone who may be able to locate the relatives of Stanford Campbell is being asked to contact the Halfway Tree Police at 876-926-8184, Police 119 emergency number, or the nearest police station. SSL did not fund election campaigns, says JLP. The ruling Jamaica Labour Party says it has never received campaign money from the fraud-hit investment and brokerage firm Stocks and Securities Limited. The private company is at the center of a $4 billion fraud scandal, which has raised the questions about how its license to operate was never been revoked despite a documented history of mismanagement over almost 2 decades. Public concerns about the Holness administration's interest in the company heightened last week after Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark revealed that it will cost the taxpayers at least $15 million monthly to cover wages and some operating expenses at SSL to avoid disruptions to ongoing investigations. SSL has never provided campaign funds to the Jamaica Labour Party. Robert Morgan, head of the party's Public Relations Committee and the Information Minister, posted on X, formerly Twitter, on Sunday. He did not say whether any of the principals of SSL made any donations to the party in their personal capacity. Weeks after the SSL fraud was reported in January, JLP leader and the Prime Minister Andrew Holness said he gave instructions in September 2021 for his account at SSL to be closed. It was opened in 2008. The JLP also said it has never and does not currently hold any accounts at SSL. Morgan's post followed a change on Saturday in which opposition leader Mark Golding questioned Clark's declaration that paying the salaries of SSL workers is not similar to the bailout of companies in the financial crisis of the 1990s. In a Radio Jamaica interview on Friday, Clark said, in the case of FinSac, certainly with some of the financial institutions, shareholders kept ownership of institutions, at least for some time, at least with some entities. Golding challenged the assertion in a post on X, formerly Twitter, on Saturday. Is that so? Which entity which was bailed out by FinSac retained its existing ownership, he asked, before listing several entities supported by the government's Financial Sector Adjustment Company. Is this another instance of history being distorted for the convenience of current political arguments? Clark hit back, arguing that the FinSac crisis cost Jamaica 40% of its GDP and destroyed the Jamaican economy. It is unambiguous that the policy bailed out of Life of Jamaica, which became Sagicor Jamaica. It bailed out National Commercial Bank, now NCB Group, and in those major cases, key shareholders remained involved and intact. Clark said somehow your list omitted the largest interventions by FinSac. How convenient. And then you talk about distorting history. How ironic. Golding's People's National Party led a government in the 1990s. A commission of inquiry report into the matter has not been published despite the promises by the ruling party. The finance minister said Friday he was not in a position to say for how long the government will cover SSL's cost, but he insisted that it is clearly not an indefinite situation. If we don't pay the salaries, the investigation will be compromised, Clark said, adding that the Jamaican economy and the people would benefit from a successful investigation. Opposition spokesperson on finance, Julian Robinson, has demanded a full disclosure of all costs for the investigations. Regulator, the Financial Services Commission, has faced scrutiny after news revelations that for more than a decade, it flagged the SSL as a problem institution with a culture of non-compliance and mismanagement of client funds. However, despite the findings from its own investigators, the Commission never revoked SSL's license and the public was never told of the concerns. Prime Minister promises to fix public sector money issues. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has assured affected public sector workers that the government will rectify anomalies stemming from the recent public sector compensation program. So if the public sector is such an important variable in us achieving growth and one of their main concerns is the level of their compensation, then the government at the same time we are asking for better service, we also have to address the issue of their compensation. A lot of people have been positively impacted by the compensation change, a lot of people, but they are not going to say. Those who have challenges, they must keep raising their voices so that nobody forgets them and so that their challenges can be addressed. And I know that there are some issues out there that need to be resolved. And I am saying to you, this is not a closed matter. We are still working with the relevant agencies, those who have concerns, those who have not been addressed to make sure that they are addressed, that there are no anomalies or distortions remaining, and that's the commitment of the government. I understand the complaints, but I am asking for some patience, I am asking for understanding, and I am saying to you, keep a positive outlook. These matters are going to be addressed, he added. Speaking at a town hall meeting at Harmony Beach Park in Montego Bay Wednesday night, the Prime Minister made it clear that he was not in support of politicians being paid disproportionately greater than anyone else. So the question is, well, the extent of what was paid to the elected officials versus what everybody else got, was that fair? That's a legitimate question. It's just a question to ask. My answer outside of the present circumstances would be that politicians should not be paid disproportionately greater than anyone else. That's my honest and genuine belief. But why did this happen? Why were politicians, I'm using the word politicians, but why were our elected officials, the ministers, the parliamentarians, and the councillors, why were they paid disproportionately to everyone else in some categories, he asked. Holness offered that one of the factors which contributed to elected officials being so handsomely compensated now was because of the failure of previous administrations to increase their salaries out of fear of political backlash. In fact, he noted that the last time that politicians received a pay increase was way back during the P.J. Patterson-led administration in 2002. Well, first of all, because administrations, knowing the sensitivities of this pay issue, did not want to take the political risk to keep the elected officials' pay in step with the inflation and with the adjustments in salaries. So the last time that politicians got a salary adjustment was in 2002. People forget the history that when the P.J. Patterson administration announced the 102% pay increase, I was just a newbie in Parliament. It was uproar and turmoil in the society, and he appointed the Oliver Clark Committee to review it, Holness reflected. And then the Oliver Clark Committee gave a report to Parliament. You know what they did after that? They appointed a committee headed by Omar Davies to review the review. By 2003, the second part of the increase had to be scrapped because the government then had to impose a wage freeze. So they didn't get the full increase, the full adjustment. So now we have put in place a system that will bring their pay to the correct level that they should be, which is just a huge jump, he added. He argued that the next phase of your government's strategic redevelopment of the country is about what we call performance-based compensation, performance systems, performance accountability towards improving productivity. We must get more out of every hour of work in the day. I know it is going to set off all kind of alarm and a quarrel and all kind of things in the society. We have sometimes a view that asking for more work is almost like a servitude. We tend to want to confuse a service with a servitude. As a people, our mentality with this growing economy has to change now to keep that energy in the economy, that we're going to give more effort because we have to put in place a system that more effort is going to result in more pay. I noticed that nobody clapped because nobody believed it. People don't believe it. But if the society is going to maintain what we have started and move to another level, then our system of reward must be one that is compatible with a greater incentive and a greater reward for greater work. There are those who prefer the old system where effort is not measured. So think about it. If you work in an office and the man will come in, sit down at the desk, go on him phone, go on TikTok, phone a ring, him don't answer it, file on him desk, him don't do nothing about it, and the lady beside him as the phone rings, she take it up. The files come in, she sign them off, and she don't even take calls, but at the end of the day, they get the same pay. What kind of system is that? He questioned. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.